I want to introduce to you our next short talk panelist. She is Blessing Ekiko, and she is an interpersonal communication trainer. She is a speaker, and she is an on-air personality. I want you to join me welcome Miss Blessing Ekiko. Blessing, over to you. You need to unmute yourself.
Hello. Wow, thank you so much, Doc. And thank you for that amazing session. Indeed, it's good for us to ask the question, who am I? Where am I coming from? Where am I heading to? Thank you immensely. Yes, Blessing Ekiko here. And again, welcome to all of us. It is a great pleasure. Yeah, some titles were mentioned, some names attached to me were mentioned, but this is Blessing Ekiko. I will be talking to us on a specific matter, which is intentionality, being intentionally you, which is to say, no excuse is good enough for you to be stagnated, for you to fail, for you to say you cannot move forward, for you to quit. And trust me, I'm speaking from a place where I have gotten to that place where I almost gave up. I've gotten to that place where I almost committed suicide. Lots of people do not know that part of me, but I have gotten to that place before. And all of these titles that you hear today came after a journey that I had been through. Each and every one of us has that moment in life where that aha moment where it's either you discover why you are still here or you are dancing between why am I here? Where am I going to? What am I all about? Trust me, I've been there. So I'll take us through a little journey through Blessing Ekiko's life, and you will get to understand why I'm talking about being intentional, not giving up, and not using anything as an excuse. Now, I hope everyone can see this. A little journey into my story. When I was 11, I was diagnosed of asthma. If you know of anyone who has been asthmatic before, you will know it's not something anyone wants to experience. I went through spiritual torments while I was a child for 9 good years. And this is the time when I was actually diagnosed of this asthma. At the age of 12, I was sexually assaulted by my own uncle, who happened to be a seminarian at the time. And I lived with this pain for 13 whole years before anyone could know the extent to which I was hurt on that day. Not too far from there, my name was changed from Cynthia to Blessing. When I was earlier introduced, you heard the name Blessing Ekiko, but it might shock you that that was not my name from birth. And I was legally changed, my identity changed. I moved from Cynthia to Blessing at the age of 13 and Wilson to Ekiko at the age of 15. Unfortunately, the person who bore the name Ekiko is now of late. But my entire identity changed. So I also dealt with an identity crisis. I failed the GC ordinary level writing for the first time. And many people who know me today think that I have never failed before. But trust me, I have tasted it and it was not a beautiful place. I almost didn't want to get back to school anymore because it was the first time I was failing at that level. I was called a weakling and tagged the girl who is always sick by my classmates, my teachers, my neighbors, even family members. Can you imagine how painful that could be? I was treated for some brain damage at some point in my life, so much so that I took medication enough to open 2 pharmacies. And I dare say that there would have been, let's say, a warehouse for that too. I was termed a cursed child and I was rejected by many. In 2016, I was partially paralyzed to the left. I fell down a flight of stairs while recovering and knocked my spine, which means recovery took a long time. And then while I was recovering from that, I was almost crushed by a petrol tanker in 2018 in the littoral region of Cameroon. Coming to 2019, I was diagnosed of lung infection, and towards the end of 2019, I almost gave up because I was attempting suicide. The list goes on and on, but trust me, it is not important. This is just to tell you that the person talking to you has tasted what it means to be in pain, be rejected, be unloved, be accused of something that you had nothing to do with, be hurt by the people close to you, and had every reasons to quit. But I had to be intentional. Today, you hear those titles that come in. But the question is, what does it mean to be intentional? You may have a dictionary definition, but I take it from this point. It is being deliberate and purposeful in life. You need to be deliberate in everything you do. Every decision you make, every decision you choose not to make, because indecision is also a decision. You choose not to be accidental in your life. You are purposeful wherever you find yourself. Now, when I talk about being accidental, someone may be wondering, what does this mean? You might be a child born out of wedlock, and you're assuming that because you were born out of wedlock, you are a societal misfit. Trust me, you are not. That is just how you came into the world, but you have a lot more that you could do. I was called a societal misfit because of the many illnesses that I was living with. However, this is blessing talking to you today. When I talk about being accidental, let me tell you a little about this. You hear that I'm an applied linguist, but trust me, it wasn't my intention to study linguistics or applied linguistics when I was registering into the university. I didn't even know jack about it. In fact, my first option was journalism and mass communication. That's what I wanted to do. But then I had to take 3 options for the program I had to study. So linguistics and law came into play. Trust me, I wanted journalism, but I was given linguistics. So I enrolled and I realized that the reality was not the same. People think that linguistics is about English and French, but the science that is in it is a whole different ballgame. I literally had to study physics, maths, biology in linguistics. So because of this reality, several of my classmates dropped out halfway through, but I had to make it my own. So that's when I started learning to be deliberate. In fact, I learned from when I failed the GCE the first time, but this is where I had to be more deliberate. So I stepped in, and guess what? I studied through the first degree, that is my BA in linguistics. And I said, why not just go on to the master's? And I was registered, enrolled into the master's level. That was when I actually suffered partial paralysis to the left side. I had enough reasons to quit. There was even an ongoing crisis in Cameroon at the time. I still had enough reasons to quit. In fact, others quit as well. But I went on, and guess what? I graduated as the best graduating student in my batch. I wasn't even in school the day my name was mentioned because I was sick. I went on to the PhD level, and I'm presently completing a PhD research work, despite all odds. Question is, shouldn't I have given up? Don't you think I had enough reasons to say I can't go ahead? So why did I keep going? Yeah, I just had to put this one there a little because I love to see you to know that I did it. And yes, I made it. Best graduating student, but was not even at the auditorium when it was called. As we are wrapping up, there are these questions I want to ask you. What are your big and reasonable excuses for why you are not growing, for why you're not succeeding, for why you're stagnated? What is the reason? I took the liberty of mentioning a few. I may not call all, but just imagine you're one of those who's always saying, what if I try and fail? What if it doesn't work? What if I'm not good at it? Are you that person? Is that excuse good enough for you not to succeed? Or is it self-sabotage? I'm not good enough. Others are better than me. I can't even cope with this. Is that really a good enough reason for why you are not charging into what you ought to be charging into? Or is it the poverty mentality? Oh, trust me, from Africa, we almost literally feel that we don't have enough money for anything. But again, you have the skill set to be able to acquire this income where you can thereby pay for the things that you want to do. Or you say it's not the right time, or I'm too young, or I'm too old, or hey, the kind of friends I have are keeping me on one spot, then why do you still have them as friends? Comparison with others, specifically the negative one. Or are you like me who used to say, I have enough time? That's a falsehood of time. So why do you think you make the excuses? Because you want to feel comfortable on a journey or a process which could lead to your growth or change. Stagnation always comes when there is a comfort zone to go to. It could also be the blinding force of negative comparison or blaming something on others, which is always easier than taking responsibility. Or could it be dwelling on the past, something that already happened? Yes, my uncle molested me when I was 12 years old, and I choose not to move forward from there. Who is that hurting? Blessing, not my uncle. In fact, he is a Reverend Father today. Just know this, note it. If you don't get anything from me, get this. Your comfort zones are bedrocks for stagnation. If you stay there, you will never grow. So this is the action plan I have for you. Do it right now. You can take a screenshot of this if you want, so that you can have it as a reminder. So write it down. Every self-limiting thought, everything that you've used as your excuse. For each of them, write the opposite. That's a contrary to it. If you think you are not good enough, start looking at the things you are good at and start working on them. Then you will grow from there. And mark you, it is high time you start taking 100% responsibility for everything you are and for everything you are becoming. Because whether you point the finger to A, B, Z, or whoever, the results are still yours, not mine. So write down the steps to take and address them right now. The time to act is now. Kick off all fear, because fear paralyzes action. Don't pay the price for irresponsibility. And I put this little one here just so that you can have it. Own your story. Don't stumble into it. You are not a mistake, all right? Be a present part of your journey and be intentionally you. That said and done, I am Blessing Ekiko. You may want to connect with me online. Take a screenshot of this. Let's connect, let's learn, let's share together. And trust me, there is growth at the end of this tunnel. This only tells you one thing. The girl you heard of, or the lady you heard of, Coach Blessing Ekiko, was never Blessing Ekiko to begin with. But that journey never led me to giving up. I'm still a work in progress, but I've made a lot of progress so far. You too can do same. All right. So get to it